Hi, I'm Rip Stalvey for the American Poultry Association's Education and Training Committee. In this video, Mike Omeg will share some hatching tips and techniques for us to learn from.
And I can track it over time. Having good information and accurate temperatures on your hatch and incubation is super critical. I'll see so many people posting on the Facebook group, hey, I got my chicks hatched 1 day late or 2 days late. Well, they're relying maybe on a cheapy little thermometer like this in their incubator. Don't do that. Buy some good units, spend some money on them. Again, this is about the time and effort that we spend in raising, feeding, housing, doing all this work. And get dialed in on your hatching and your incubation with a good thermometer. Don't waste your time with these things. In fact, I don't even know why I have that in there. I think it just got tossed in there. So I divide each mating. Here you can see I use these wooden trays to divide the tray so that I can keep track of each chick as they hatch, and I know from each pedigree breeding where I get chicks from. And we'll talk a little bit about how I manage the chicks next. I use a GQF battery brooder for brooding newly hatched chicks. They're all kind of scared of me because I'm talking here and thumped around, and so they're kind of huddled together there. I really like these units. They save a lot of space. They're easy to clean. They do cost quite a bit of money, but for me it's worth it because of the number of birds that I run through my facilities each year, and I really like the idea of saving space. They're just really, really good units, and I would encourage you to seriously consider getting one if you don't have one already. You can see the chicks in here. These are chicks. I divide my chicks. I don't like to keep them crowded, so if I have the space, I spread them out, and I think that's really important. I'd rather put some more feed and some more water down in my brooding than or spend a little bit more time feeding and watering and have the chicks have more floor space. The reason that this top unit is empty is the chicks over there in the hatcher, they'll get moved up here, and they're going to live in this top tier unit. So we'll talk a little bit about how I identify chicks here. Keeping good records is of critical importance to a successful poultry breeding program. If you want to make quick improvement, I think that you need to, in my opinion, pedigree breed from just a few birds, and I think that you need to keep very good records. You can definitely improve a breed, no problem, if you just kind of flock breed and whatnot, but I'm very impatient. I want to move quickly. And so I pedigree breed each of my hens. I cull down to just the absolute very best and hatch the birds that I can from them. This is my record-keeping worksheet for my birds that hatch. I have on here each father and mother combination, and then I keep notes on each chick. I toe punch each of my chicks, but I don't do it right when they first hatch. What I do is I mark on here for each mating what the toe punch is going to be with the little black dot on the webbing. But the other thing I do is I use a color band, and you can see that the top two say O on the left, O on the right, yellow on the left, yellow on the right. What those correspond to is these little quick ties over here. And what I do is I apply those quick ties to the chick's legs, because I found if I toe punch the birds when they're really young with toe punch, oftentimes the web breaks and you have a split in that web where there's no webbing between the toes, and that leads to some curling of toes over time. Some people maybe can do that and not have trouble. I have trouble in my hamps. I've noticed a correlation between where that webbing has been split open because the hole has split it, and curling of toes. I tried doing a smaller toe punch, and what I found was that the hole actually heals over. So what I do is I mark with these bands grow them for maybe a week or so, and then I use this model of toe punch. This is actually a 2 millimeter biopsy toe punch. You can see that it's a 2.5 millimeter biopsy toe punch. I really, really like this unit. I'll see if I can get in here. It's a Robos 659902. You can buy them online. I really like it because it doesn't squish the webbing. You can see right in here that there's a gap in where the punch actually goes. That doesn't squish the webbing. A lot of these units actually will squish the webbing when you're punching these mouse biopsy units that I have. It's actually a mouse ear punch. The other thing is this hole is plenty big that it makes a big enough hole that it doesn't heal, but it's way too big for day-old chicks, and so you need to punch them after they're a certain age. So here I've got a chick that was hatched on that's 10 days old, and you can see just the little quick tie there around its leg. When it gets another couple of days old, I think that the webbing will be big enough to use that biopsy punch on, and we'll open that, use a toe punch, and I'll cut off those quick ties. I don't like to have to keep on changing leg bands, so I prefer to use the cable ties just temporarily, and then toe punch to finally do my permanent identification, and then eventually I will put on a metal leg band, a permanent metal leg band. I've been considering maybe doing wing bands so that I can mark my birds permanently at an earlier age instead of using a permanent leg band. Just haven't done that yet. Again, here's my records here. You can see I keep notes on each hatch. So for instance, 4 out of 5 eggs hatched with this mating, number 170 male with number 272. This bird happens to be named Bella. I don't typically name my birds, but if they're really exemplary, sometimes I'll name them. And you can see I wrote 1 hatched week and culled at 4 days. So I don't know if you'd say culled or dispatched, but I culled it because it was weak and continued to be weak. If they hatch weak or otherwise have problems, I don't mind culling them as chicks. Again, we're breeding with New Hamps for vigor, and that's super important, and it begins with the chick, if you ask me.
We hope you've enjoyed hearing from Mike Omeg about how he incubates his eggs. For additional information about standard-bred poultry, please visit the American Poultry Association's education and training resources found on YouTube, Facebook, and, of course, the APA Education and Training website. You'll find the links in the notes section below. We would also encourage you to join the American Poultry Association if you're not already a member. Just follow the handy link below to sign up today.